Hello. I do not know if this is working. Okay, hide. Shared our groups. Think I already did that. Oh, I am live. Okay. Um, okay, so I am Jessica, and just give me a second here because I'm trying to get this live stream up on my phone as well so I can see comments. So give me 1 second. If I can figure that out. It's a big if. If you are already in here, let me know where you're from. I have a couple polls that I am going to publish here because I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. Goodness. I don't know what I'm doing here, you guys. Polls, here we go. How do I do it? Where's Heather? Oh my god. Oh my god. This could probably just be live on. There we go. Activate poll. Activate poll. Okay, so there's 2 polls in there that I am just curious on. But first things first, I have to pull up the stream. Okay, here we go. I'll not let myself. Alright. Alright, now it's asking me to answer my own question. Okay, so I want to just introduce myself. My name is Jessica Wolf. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I own Wolf Treats, also known as Wolf Treats Cincy. So the first thing I'm going to do here is go to my website to kind of show you what we're working with here. And if you guys want to, you can too. Oh my gosh, Wolf Treats Cincy with a Y.com. So you can follow along with me if you'd like, but you do not have to because I am going to have it up here. What we're going to talk about today is Square. This kind of became the All About Square Live. I don't really think I intended it to be, but it's fine. A lot of people have questions about Square because Square it's like one of the most trusted for our clients, but it's also one of the most frustrating for us. So here we are. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to see what questions I can answer. I'm not a Square expert. I don't work for Square. I struggle with Square myself, but I've had a lot of trial and error with it in the last, 10 months. So we will see what we can do about it. Okay, the first thing I want to show you guys so that you guys know where I am starting off with is my ordering process. So most people will go through my DMs to order something. Or just text me because a lot of my clients are like first name basis, like friends with me and stuff like that. But DMs or texts are usually my main way to go. But I do have what I call feature items on my website, and that's what I'm going to show you here. So I do cakes, cupcakes, and cookies. I'll be honest, cookies aren't really my bag. Like I do them, and I like to do them, but I never find myself making a profit from it because I'm not very quick at it. And also, I'm just more known for my custom cakes. So that's what most of my orders are, is custom cakes. But I do have on here like featured cakes available that people can order. So look, those look delicious. And I'll tell you what, people rarely actually order these through the website. I'm like, you guys, I've made it so easy. Anyway, so people can go in here and click and they can choose their size. And I even have it available that people can buy cupcakes on here. So we'll say 6-inch. And I actually have it set up that it says my address. Y'all don't show up on my street, okay? It shows my street address, but it doesn't show the number. So I'll get people on here or on Instagram or wherever saying, like, well, what's your address? And I said, I provide my address once order is placed, because I'm way too into true crime to give out my address in public or on public forums or whatever. So that stresses me out, and I am sure it stresses other people out too. So anyway, so people can go here and add to cart and pick up here. People can even change the date of when they want it. So I have it so people can order like 90 days out, I think. They can choose their pickup time. So we're doing August 26th at 5 p.m. it looks like. Then they can check out. I have the tip in there, which I'll show you guys what that's all about. Yeah, so they can go through this whole order process. It's, type in, I'm not going to type in all this information. You can leave a tip, blah, 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 place order. Ideally, and you can do save my information for a faster checkout. Nobody really does that, and I wish they would. But I get it. It's a security concern. Anyway, so ideally, then people could go back here and do the scheduled pickup. And we're going to talk about this as well. But like I said, we're just doing it from the client's perspective at this point. And I'm sorry if you can hear my mouse click. I just realized my webcam with the microphone was laying right next to my... Here, let me move this. Sorry, I know you guys can't see me, but it was like, can you see my screen or can you see me? And the screen is more important than me. And I didn't want to do my hair. So, anyway, they can come here and do schedule pickup. Oh, are we going to work today, computer? And they can, oh my gosh, sorry guys. They can do schedule pickup. It's a little pop-up that comes up, and this is integrated with Square appointments. You can do order pickup. They can, if they've discussed delivery with me, they can select this delivery window, and they'll type in their location and all that. How do I get back? Service, edit. I've added like contactless order pickup in here too. For safety concerns. So you can have those different options. So yeah, you can set up your order pickup. The only thing that bothers me is that it's going to ask you the location either way. I wish I could set like, okay, order pickup has to happen at Wolf Treats, which is where I am. But alas, I cannot. So pick my date. You can have this set up so that, you have to have so much notice. For me, I have it set up for like 2 days notice. No, I guess 1 day's notice. I don't know. So many days notice before they can like schedule the appointment. That way I'm not having people like at 2 o'clock saying, I'm going to be there at 3, because their cake's probably not going to be done. So they can come in here and schedule their own stuff and enter their booked appointment. Now, when they do this, they enter their phone and email and all that stuff. They will get text and email reminders about the appointment. So 2 days before the pickup or delivery or what have you is scheduled, they will get a message from Square saying, please confirm this appointment. If they, enable, I don't think they even have to enable it. I think it's just entered in there automatically. But if they get that text message, they can hit confirm, or email, they can hit confirm saying they will be there. This has been the most convenient thing for me, because people will order a month or 2 months or whatever in advance, and they will not even think about the pickup until like a couple days beforehand, like the 2 days beforehand, and they're like, Oh yeah. And so 2 days beforehand I find is a good sweet spot because that's usually when people are like, oh yeah, I need to go pick up that cake. So they can confirm their appointment there, or if they need to, they can reschedule it. Like I said, it's like a 2 day lead time that I need, so um, they can reschedule it on their own. The reminder emails will have my address, my full address in it, so they know where they're going. It has my phone number in it, my Google Voice phone number, not my personal phone number. Um, It'll have that in there, and it will have the option. So I default to order pickup. And if somebody 2 days beforehand says, I don't feel comfortable doing order pickup, I want to do contactless. So I have in the little reminder that it says, if you would prefer contactless pickup, text this number, my phone number, and just tell me your name and the word contact list, and we will make a contact list. So that has been very convenient for me because I'm not having to remind people of pickup times. I have it set, you can see here that it's a 10-minute window. It says in my reminders, if you're going to be outside of this window, you need to call me or text me as soon as you know. And I do have listed in my policies on here that if you're late, that you forfeit your pickup appointment, and that I will just reschedule you. Because I have other order pickups, and I don't want people to be overlapping. That's just me. Some people don't really care, and they just give. And I know, like cookie people, you guys can most of the time just leave the cookies on the porch and people can just come pick them up. You say, okay, I'm doing 7 to 9 p.m., come get your cookies. You put the cookies on the porch and people can come get them. And it works out. Sorry, I'm reading a question here. Good question, Terry. Let me get to that in a second. What was I saying? I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, so for me, I have to have a specific time because I have to have the cake ready to go. You know, I have to get it out of the fridge ready to go. I can't have the cake sitting out for too long or else it won't be sturdy for transport. So anyway, so I have my little window of time here. If they're going to be out of it, they're supposed to let me know, and they have to work around my schedule at that point because I don't want people overlapping because I enjoy having the little chat or whatever when they come to pick up. And I do it for client safety because we all know what's going on right now, and people don't exactly want to interact with more people than they have to. So that's just how I do things. You can do things how you would like to do things. Now let me look at Terry's questions. He says, what if you don't allow changes, or if you want to chat first before you want to agree to a change? That is a good question. Hold on, you have a second message here. It says, I wouldn't want the easy capability for a customer to change their mind by simply selecting to confirm or not. Does the client think that they can just change their mind and say they don't want the order? All orders are paid in advance for the dates. Yeah, so the way I do it, it's a completely separate thing. To have an invoice and pay for the order, it is a completely separate thing than this appointment thing. They don't even get to make an appointment to pick up their order until their order is paid. If their order, so for me, I do custom cakes. I always do a 50% deposit, and then I do the remainder paid a week before. And I will go over this with Square Invoicing too, because I really like their communication and their settings on there. It will remind them for 4 days after after the invoice is due. So for me, the invoice is due 7 days before pickup, which means they have 4 days to pay it before I just cancel it altogether. If they reach that 4 days, they're done. I've never had that issue. I have had people pay late, and I'll usually give them 1 day of a grace period, but on that second day, I'll add $10 to the invoice. Again, this is all stuff we're going to go over later. I tried to organize this in my notes, but I am a little bit of a chaotic person. I'm sorry. I try to be organized, which is why probably this is so stressful for me, this square stuff. But anyway, so to get to this appointment, you have to pay first. When they schedule an appointment, you can set it on here so that when they schedule an appointment, you have to approve it. You can't just schedule it willy-nilly. Like, I have to go in and approve it. And if a client tries to set an appointment and they haven't paid, I decline it. And I say, we haven't reached this point in the ordering process yet. So, that being said, you can set it, I believe, we'll have to look in there together, but I believe you can set it so that it does not allow them to reschedule on their own. You can have it set, you can use these appointments and the reminders function and all that and not even use this client schedule pickup thing. You can manually create the appointments and you still get all the functions of the reminders and all that fun stuff. So I will go through that when we go through the process of like setting up appointments and things like that. But you do have complete control over this. You do not have to let people reschedule if you don't want to. You can just leave it as, you know, your appointment's set up, it's set up, you're done. That's what it is. I hope that answers your question, Terry. If it didn't, let me know. But we're going to talk about that some more. I just wanted to show the process from the client perspective. Yeah. Another thing that I do, so like I said, I do custom cakes, and a lot of things that we do as cakers and cookiers and Greg is we need more customability, like customizability. So a lot of people like to use forms, and forms on Square has been pretty good for me. And I have my form here. I'm working on creating like a whole separate page just for this quote form, but I have all my flavor menus and stuff there. And you can add all of your questions into Square, and Square allows you to have different forms for different things. So like I have a generic contact us form. I have this quote form. I'm starting to steer people towards using this to place their order. So they message me on Facebook. They say, hey, I need a cake for my daughter's birthday. Awesome. That's great. Can you go to wolftreatscincy.com/menu, and which in the future I'm hoping that it can just be /order. I'm working on it. And go to the bottom of the page to the quote page. Fill out this information. For me, I've got all the things. If you focus more on sugar cookies, great. You don't have to fill it out. So you've got name, email, all that stuff. Once they enter this, they actually go into my email database too. Technically, they have to opt in, but I think most of them do. So servings, you know, things, cakes and cookies are kind of different because, you know, cookies you do by the dozen and most people know what a dozen is. But anyway, then they can just enter all the information here. You know, I want Winnie the Pooh. I want Mickey Mouse. I will pay you $9 million so you don't get sued. And then, you know, if they want delivery, they can enter their address here. So I can show you guys how to set that up. This is going to be a lot, and I might have to do an entirely new updated one on Square Online, because this originally was just supposed to be about invoicing and using appointments and like workflow type things, not Square workflow, just workflow in general. But the majority of questions that I've gotten have been about Square Online. So we're going to try and power through this. So anyway, that's the client's perspective. When they fill this out, I get an email, and then I can email them back. And then I have it in my email. I can just search Weebly, and that's how my forms come up. Okay? So we are going to get out of this website. Let's see. Okay. We are going to the Square dashboard. So this is what it looks like on your home page of Square. I have no sales yet today. Sad. And don't look at my balance, guys. Okay. I actually use Square as like my holding for my business. So like this would be like my profit holding at this point. So like I'll pay and it's actually technically they've changed it into a checking account now. So like I have a debit card that accesses this balance. I have, all that stuff. And I use this to pay myself. I use this to buy supplies, things like that. Okay, so let's see. We did the order process. We're going to go into the invoicing part. So you're going to hit invoices. And here are all my, keep this to yourself. Nobody screen record this stuff. But anyway, here are my invoices. We're going to go create an invoice. So I'm going to just put myself, this is all private information, so I trust that you guys are going to keep that to yourselves. We're all adults here. The way I do it when I'm putting an invoice in here is I actually do the invoice title as the order date. So I want on December 1st. Well, I don't do the first part. This 2021. That way I can look in my invoice list pretty easily and see the dates that I'm looking at. I've got all of my terms here. That I have Venmo. I would love if somebody would use Venmo because Venmo's processing fees are cheaper. But here we are. I had one person last week said that she tried to, but she couldn't get into her Venmo account. I'm like, dang it. Anyway, non-refundable deposit, by submitting payment you're agreeing to. I know some people do like contracts, and you can actually do contracts on Square. Maybe that can be a whole nother live. But I just have it in here, and I know it's not like legally binding, but I'm on the miracle refund train where if they're like complaining about something, I'm like, here, have your money back and get out of my DMs. Anyway, so by submitting payment, you're agreeing to Wolf Treats LLC's policies outlined at wolftreatsnc.com/policies. Feel free to go look at those. I literally copied and pasted the ones that we made collectively in the group and just changed it to my own thing. Okay, so for cookie subscription boxes, which I love the idea of that, and those of you who have made that work, I love it. You can actually do recurring invoices. Now, it's not ideal because I think they still have to manually pay. But there are ways to set up subscriptions on here. I'm not sure if it was covered in like the subscription box live or not, but there are ways to do it on Square. Anyway, so one time you can even schedule this to send. So I know for me, I'm trying to create better boundaries in my business. So when somebody asks me for a quote, I try to, even if I'm available to do it right now, I try to say, I will get that to you tomorrow. And then I will go in here and I will make the quote and I will schedule it to send the next day. And then it'll just send, during my quote unquote working hours during the next day. You set your due date here. It's got like easy links here. Depending on the day, I'll just say like in 7 days or what have you, just to give them time to do it. Because otherwise if you make it due like upon receipt, meaning today, and they don't have time to pay it today, they'll get all the emails reminding them saying that they're past due, and sometimes that can make people sassy. But you can just select, okay, it's going to be due on the 10th, whatever. Or it's going to be due right now. I want to do yesterday. Pay me yesterday. You go in here and you add your items that you want. So you can create library items, or you can just pick, you can just type in a custom item. So Corey and Heather, oops, don't tell Heather, spectacular twin cake. I'm going to do one time I can come in here and do notes. So for me, if it's like a 6-inch cake, whatever, vanilla cake, vanilla buttercream. And once again, I'm not an expert at Square. There are ways to set that up in Square so that when you type 6-inch cake, it says, okay, what flavor buttercream? What flavor cake? And then you can use this note section for the theme or how they want to look or how they want it to be decorated. Stuff like that. Yeah, but I have not gotten that far yet because any free time I have, I like to nap or play with my kid. So here we are. So we have that. You can change it here. So for sugar cookies, here, we're going to go out here. We're going to delete that. We're going to do sugar cookies. So I already have sugar cookies in here. It'll come in. You can set it so that it's a variable price because we all know that some sets are easier and some sets are harder. So if you have like a tiered pricing schedule, that type of thing, you can set that up of like, basic cookies, detailed cookies, elaborate cookies, and you can have it set up like that and use those tiered pricing schedules, if that makes sense. So I'm going to come in here, $42 for the twin cookies. I want almond icing. And then here you can type in your description of what you want them to look like. I have added a tax on here, and this is all on the Square Online side. Square is so confusing. Anyway, I have added in here credit card processing. I don't really use this anymore, but I just raised my prices to include it, and then people don't even have to think about it. But I used to have it so that I can add credit card processing, and it would actually create this like tax item down here. I'm not sure if that's like accountant approved, but that's what I did, and my accountant's gonna have to deal with it. Anyway, you can add that on there, and in my little description here, I used to say, if you would like the credit card processing fee waived, please pay to Venmo. Or not Venmo, I was using PayPal at the time. But like I said, I just raised my prices to include that fee in there, so I don't even use that anymore. There's an option here for discounts. A lot of us, there's the ongoing debate of rush fee versus no rush fee, whatever. What I tend to do is I'll put that, if you don't like rush fees, let me tell you what. You put that rush fee in there. My rush fee, so overtime, I call it the overtime rush fee because I couldn't decide what to call it. Where'd it go? Oh my gosh, here it is. Again, another variable item. So let's say my rush fee is $25 plus 10% of the total order. That way, because I was doing $25, and then I was thinking, what if somebody places a $500 order last minute, and I'm sitting here doing all this extra stuff in the middle of the night for $25? I was like, nope. And then what if, this person wants a dozen cookies last minute, and then it's, and then doing 10%, it would only be $4.20, which is, I guess, kind of nice for them, but it's still not nice for me because I'm staying up late. Anyway, so I would do $25 plus 10%. So here, that would be $29.20. I would put that in there, taking that credit card processing fee off. What I suggest you do, if you do not like rush fees, because I get it, you kind of feel like a snake, but you're not being a snake. If you do not like rush fees, put it on there anyway, so that they know, hey, this is inconvenient for me. I prefer orders placed 10 days ahead of time. If you can't do that, I can make this happen for you. but it's going to cost you this extra money. Now, the way you make yourself feel better, you go in here and you go overtime fee waived. And you, well, mine's set to like, darn it. Waive. Use custom discount, overtime fee waived. You can take that $29.20 right back off. I have never actually charged a rush fee, but when I do this and it takes it back down to that original price, I promise you they will realize, oh, my bad. I could have been paying this extra almost $30 for this order, but Jessica was so kind and she used that discount and she waived it for me because she loves me. And I do. Anyway, I have done this several times, and the next time they went to order, they ordered so far in advance it wasn't even funny. On top of that, they usually leave me a pretty good tip because they say, oh man, I could have been paying that extra, prime shipping deal here, but she waived it for me. I'm going to tip her pretty well. Actually, one person tipped me well over the amount that the rush fee would have been. So anyway, that's my top tip for the day that has nothing to do with this live is about. Okay, Terry says, like overtime or something else instead of rush because it's about the extra hours I most likely will need. Exactly. I mean, yeah. I heard that from somebody else's live or something, and maybe even on the podcast or something. But yeah, I heard overtime, and I'm like, that is more descriptive of what it is because I'm not necessarily rushing your order, but I am working more to make your order happen. So yeah, I do like that terminology better, which is why I put it on there. I kind of have, I'm indecisive. So anyway, it ends up being like that. So moving on, payment options. They can give you a card over the phone, whatever. I've never done that. You can do credit or debit card, which is 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction. That's the way like 99.999% of my customers pay. I also do gift cards. I ran a promotion and I plan to run the promotion again this Thanksgiving. What I do is I email, last year I actually just texted all of my current and past clients saying, hey, to say thank you for supporting Wolf Treats. Thank you so much for supporting me and my small business and my family. I'm going to give you 20 or 25% off of a gift card purchase. This does not cut into my my payroll for myself. This does not cut into what I pay myself. It doesn't cut into what I pay for supplies or anything. It comes out of profit. I'm okay with that. Hold on, my dog's crying. Anyway, but I run that promotion to say thank you to my current clients. And they can do that up to $200. So they could get up to basically $50 for free. And so I'll market it to my clients. Hey, I'm running this just to say thank you. I'll run it for like a couple of days, before Thanksgiving. And people will take advantage of that. So anyway, I do gift cards. They have this new option here, which is the ACH bank transfer, which is, you can see, is cheaper, I think. I guess it depends. It depends on the transaction because it's 1% with a minimum of $1. So you can do that, especially the cookiers on here who I see just take full payment up front. That's not an option for me because I do deposit and then remaining balance unless it's, short notice or whatever. But that's a good option for you guys. It'll save you guys a couple bucks. Allow customer to add a tip. Always leave that on there. Invoices doesn't do a automatic tip or anything like that. So they can just add it in themselves. On Square Online, which is like a whole nother freaking entity, they do have the option to create an automatic tip. And I saw somebody saying something about it maybe earlier today or maybe just when I was searching for questions on Square in the group. But there is an option to do like an automatic tip, and I actually had that set on there, and I don't think anybody noticed, but I did notice. But I was like, why am I getting 10% tips all the time? And I looked, I took it off. I don't think you have to take it off, but it's easy enough for the customer to look and just say, oh, hey, I don't want to leave a tip, and then they don't have to. Anyway, okay, you can allow customers to save a card on file. Now here is the cool part. They updated this. It used to just be email or manually. Manually would just create a link. You could send them the link. Now you can do it via text message, which I think is pretty cool. Some people prefer that. And depending on what I'm doing, like how I'm communicating with that person, I might choose that. So, but for now, I'm going to do email. Here are your reminders. The automatic set reminders are 7 days before on the due date. And then actually, it used to do 1 day after the due date, 2 days after the due date, 3 and 4. They changed that. But it used to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then at that 4 day, that's when I would cut it off and just cancel the order and say, sorry, you forfeited your deposit. So anyway, sorry, that threw me for a loop. So that'll automatically send the reminders to you. And I am an introvert, so I hated chasing clients for payment. Hated it. So when I started using this, I was like, oh, thank God, like I don't have to do that anymore. The only time I have to deal with it is if they're late. So, yeah, so that's nice. I guess I'll just dive into like a late fee right now. The nice thing about Square is you can go in and edit the invoices after the fact. So what I will do is if somebody's 1 day late on paying, I just let it go usually. If they're 2 days late, I'll go in there and add $10, so $5 per day as a late fee. That's as far as I've ever gotten, because they see that and they're like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to pay $15 tomorrow. So anyway, and then I would, on the third day I would add another $5, so $15 total, and then on the fourth day I would add $20. So if they are 4 days late, they're paying $20 more for their. And the way I came to that conclusion is that it takes me 5 minutes of my time to add that $5 and to remind them to pay their invoice, because this Square system is all for being automatic and all for efficiency. And if I have to get on here to like remind somebody to pay their invoice, then that's my time. Maybe that's harsh, but it is what it is. I feel like I'm pretty competitive with my cake prices, so if you're going to use my time doing this admin stuff, then I'm going to have to charge you for it. Okay, I forgot to go over this, the payment schedule. This is important. It's important for me because, like I said, I do deposit and balance payments. For what seems like the majority of people who just take full payment up front, you don't even have to worry about this. You go to the bathroom, take a bathroom break right now. This is where I would go to say, okay, I want to do a 50% deposit right now. So that's due tomorrow. And then, as I said before, my balance due date is 7 days before pickup. So I'll go in here, and I said I wanted this on December 1st. So December 1st is here. I just go up, and I click there, and it takes care of all that for me. Okay? So then you have it all laid out right there. I almost forgot that part. Okay. So for folks who are shipping cookies and things like that, you can even go in here and do request shipping address, and they can just load it in there for you, and then they're all good to go. If you are doing cookie contracts and you decide to use Square for contracts, you can even attach that here. They can't I don't think they can pay the invoice without signing the contract. Don't quote me on that. Like I said, I've never used this except for attaching contracts to invoices after the fact. Anyway, You can attach images here. I like to use this for inspiration images. I attach this here. That way when it comes time, you know, it's the end of November, I'm going to start working on this order here. I can pull up the invoice and the attachment's right there. I don't have to go dig for anything. So you just click and can upload whatever. There's a custom fields thing here. Honestly, not even sure how I would use that or if it's necessary, but I'm sure somebody's making use of it, obviously, because it's here. Alright, then when it's done, let's go and preview it real quick so you guys can see what it looks like. So this is what the client will see when they get it. So we've got date, you know, all this stuff. Bill to, it lays everything out. Look, I waived your fee because I'm very nice. All that stuff. And then in their email, there will be like a button to say pay now. Okay. Schedule. Now I'm going to get an email from myself tomorrow. Okay. So that is invoices. If there are any questions, please let me know. I'm going to go in here, sorry, wrong place, and see if there are any. Oh, this one didn't get activated. Didn't it? No? Are you guys seeing my poll? I guess it really doesn't matter. Okay. Going back to Square. So that is Square invoices. You can also use, this wasn't on the schedule today, but you can use this for estimates too. So this is just bonus content here for you. Oh my, okay, now my phone's going off. Sorry, y'all. I am not cut out to be a teacher. Okay. So the estimate works pretty much the exact same way. Attach a contract, inspiration photos, title, yada, yada, yada. All that stuff. I'm just going to do, oh golly. I'm going to do this pretend one again. Add your line items, sugar cookies. Okay, it's, you know, $100. Woo, girl! Oh, by the way, you can go in here and do per item, per dozen, whatever, depending on what you sell. If you sell jams, if jam is your jam, you can do per ounce. Whatever. That stuff doesn't apply to me, but it's just setting up the whole thing. Hold on, sorry, I'm hopping on late. This may have already been covered, but how do you make a contract with Square? So that's not really on my my itinerary today, but if we have a little bit of time and at the end, we can talk about it because we're already like 45 minutes into it. But I can stay on later and talk about that, or I can maybe just do a whole new live about that because I do have a little bit of experience using that. I only use that for wedding contracts, but we can go over that. I'll try to. We'll see. My son has to go to bed at like 8 o'clock, so I was hoping to get done by then. We'll see. We'll figure it out. Okay, so we're doing the payment schedule again, yada, yada, yada. I don't know why I'm going over that again. The cool thing about this is you can add packages. So say they're like, I like these cookies, but I also like these cookies. You can give them options. If you want to say, I mean, you can just message back and say, okay, it's going to be this much for that kind of cookie or this much for that kind of cookie. For me, a lot of times people come to me and they say, I need, 60 servings for my birthday party that I'm having. And I say, okay, do you want cake or cupcakes? And they're like, I'm not really sure. So what I do is I will take their theme, I'll sketch out what I think a nice cake would look like, and I will give them different size options. So for me, it might, 60, that might be, a 2-tiered cake plus some cupcakes, or maybe they just want a 1-tiered cake with a bunch of cupcakes or what have you. So I like to use that for this. And you title your package, and it will send them this whole estimate with a bunch of different package options, and they can choose which one they want. They can select it, and it will automatically create the invoice for them. So I hope that makes sense. I really like using this because, like I said, for me, a lot of people don't realize how much a custom cake is going to cost, especially for 60 people. Cupcakes usually are cheaper, so if people want the cake aesthetic, I can give them the cake options. If they're just like, whoa, 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 I just want to eat some cake, I'm like, here's your cupcakes. This is how much all these different options are going to cost. You tell me what you want, and then they can just select it. It's a little bit more work on the front end, but it's kind of nice to have that professional view of that estimate. Okay? All right, let me look back here. Is the contract made in Square, or can you attach on from another place? That's a very good question. I've only really messed with this a couple of times, but I think, let me just go look at it real quick. I'm sorry, guys, because now I have to know. Let's see, new contract. Okay, so you can create templates. Test contract, this is a new thing. You can create templates. So for me, I have a template called wedding contract. So that's a really good question. I think you would have to just manually create it in here. And it is a little bit complicated, so if you have another electronic version of a contract that you enjoy using, I mean, you can use that. I don't think there's anything really special about this. It is kind of nice that you can attach the invoices to the contracts. You can, say like, okay, you're gonna pay this amount to whatever. That's a lot of money. You can do all the payment options are on, like, attached to the contract. So that's nice if you wanted to use that instead of an invoice for, say, maybe your larger orders, or you just do no payment, because a lot of people like to do the cookie contracts, which I think is fantastic. And you can just attach it to the existing invoice. Let's see. Yeah, okay, sorry. I got distracted by something shiny. So yeah, it does look like you'll have to just go in and create a template. You can go in here and it's kind of wild. You create a clause library. Oh my gosh. I didn't do all this. Obviously, there's no clauses here. I just made my template and said, okay, this is what I want my wedding contract to look like, and it has all the clauses in there already ready to go. Okay? So when you make a contract, and you can send it, and like I said, maybe later on we can talk more about that, or we can just do a whole nother live about that. Okay, next we have, see, this live turned into like a whole thing, because so many people are so frustrated with like the listings on Square, which I'm with you. I am very frustrated with that. Okay, so I've showed you guys how to set up your customer, add your items, do the deposit and payment schedule. All right, now we're going to talk about using the appointments. So down here, we've got, now, my kid's probably playing on his tablet or something. My internet's slow. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Oh my goodness. Okay. Here's what your appointments page looks like here. What I do is so here are my, like, quote unquote pickup hours. Hold on a second, you guys. My son is coming in. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I can create appointments at any time in this gray area. Like, this white area here is simply for the time available that clients can come pick up their orders. What am I trying to say? Sorry, my son's distracting me. He's very cute. Anyway, so if somebody were to use my website to come in here and create their own appointment, this white space is the only available time that they'll be able to book themselves. I can do any of this gray area, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to set myself an appointment. Wolf treats. Here I am. So I can come down here, and I've got myself on the 9th at 12:15. Perform service at business or at client's location. If I do deliveries, obviously, like I put the client's location in there. If you didn't want to deal with all that mess and you just said, okay, here's the delivery, and you can just add the address in there manually. So in this like staff notes, you can put the address. Hold on a second. Here he comes. Hi. Can you say hi? Do you want to help? Yeah. Oh my. Okay. Yeah. You can't have the Tums though. Okay. So you go in here and add a service, and I can show you guys on the well, really, all you can just type in, high five, and then you can create a. Well, can you create a service from here? Good lord, my internet's too slow for me to figure this out. All right, we're gonna do an order pickup. And it lists as 0. So like you think about like if a hairstylist were to use this platform to schedule, they can put in the price. So your haircut's $50. They put in $50, and there you go. It helps for them, but obviously for pickup, we don't need to do that. Now, sorry, I'm just trying to think. I don't really think that there's a whole lot of features in here that are super important to us. If you think we can talk about anything like the prepay for appointment, I think if we're already, like, everybody's prepaying their invoices, you're good. Anyway, so I set my appointment, I save it, email and text message. I always do that. It's preferred because it'll send them the email and their text message reminders and things like that. Okay, send. So I just scheduled an appointment with myself. Okay. Now, to set this up, you would just go into the appointments and you would just set up your availability. Sorry, I'm getting a text message about my own appointment. You would come in here, you can do your recurring schedule, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you set your times in here. I'm taking those off. I limit my pickups to, I used to do every day except for Sunday, and it was just too much because I would have clients order cookies as gifts, and they would just leave their assigned time, and I would just be doing pickups every day of the week, and I didn't really like to do that. So I keep mine limited to the 4 days from 3 to 7, and then 9 to 12 on Saturdays. So you come in here and you edit your availability, come into your online booking, check out these settings in here. Yeah, it's very slow, I guess because I'm doing this live at the same time. I don't know. Okay, you can have it set up that it makes its own Square Online website. So you can manage that in here. So for example, Terry didn't even want to do the online booking. She maybe just wants to set the appointments herself and manage it all on her own. So she doesn't even want to do that. She can turn that off. I'm not turning it off because my hope is that people will start booking their own stuff. You can connect it to Instagram. You can reserve with Google. Yeah, you can connect it with your Google My Business. And then here, if you already have another website, you can attach it there too, which is nice. Settings here. So reservation guarantee. This is what I was talking about, Terry, where if you want to, I have it set so that I have to accept or decline the appointment. You can have it set so that it's like, okay, you're coming within my business hours. I will accept your appointment as long as I have the time. Yeah, so you can choose that there. Time zone, I just kept it to my location. Appointments are scheduled according to service duration. You can make your appointments. So if you wanted, they can't, if you wanted it to be limited that they can't book it themselves more than, a week or less than a week in advance, excuse me, you can have it set for that. So that's pretty cool because then you don't have to worry about those last minute people saying, I'm going to be there. So for cook years, it takes, I don't even know why I have it set to a day, but so maybe you want it 3 days because you're like, okay, if they, change their mind about their appointment time, at least they can't do it too soon. Now, when I have my payments come through, I automatically send an appointment. And so I don't have this last minute of like, oh, whenever you want to come, just come on up. No, I have the appointment set and ready to go. Okay, hope that makes sense. I also have it, 60 days in advance. This was more, I will say this was more convenient for like last, what's it called? The holiday season when I was doing a bunch of hot cocoa bombs. People could order and then book their thing on here. When people order on the online website, they order something of my featured items, it'll give them that time, and I'll just come in here and manually put it over there. I hope that someday they will attach these appointments to those pickup times over there, but alas, Square is kind of confusing with that stuff. Okay, so this is all for online scheduling. Multiple services. This is like I said, it's kind of geared towards like hairstylists and things like that, or at least that's how I think of it. If somebody wants to book a cut and color, they can do that at the same time. Here, remove staff. I take staff off. That way it's not saying like, you're going to do your order, pick up with Jessica Wolf. It's like, yeah, I'm here. I live here. A daily appointment limit. Say you only want to do 4 pickups a day. If you're super busy and people are ordering online from you, that might be a good option for you. You can say, hey, I'm only going to do 4 pickups a day, or I'm only going to do 2 pickups a day, or I'm only going to do 100 pickups a day because I am Batman. So here's a fake it filter. What this is when people go to your site to book a slot with you, it will remove some of your availability so that it looks like you're busier than you are. I kind of leave it on here because I'm like, well, I don't want someone thinking they're the only pickup of the day. So, yeah. I don't do this QR code stuff. I think the concept is like, oh, if you're at the salon, is it possible to limit the number of orders per day or week? Yes. Yeah. So that's what. Yeah, that one was up here, the daily appointment limit. Yep. I'm sure that question probably is coming through after it's like delayed. So sorry. I know your questions come through like a minute or 2 later. Okay. But anyway, the idea of this QR code is like, oh, I'm sitting in the salon chair. Hey, I'm just going to go ahead and book my next appointment. So they can get that all scheduled. Okay. Here is your services listings. Please hold. Good enough. Okay. It gets kind of wild in here, but I only use the service library, so it has like resources. Again, think of the salon. You have to reserve a chair for someone. If you only have 3 chairs, you can't have 4 clients. So that's kind of what that is. I don't really use any of this other stuff. I just have my services in here. I have a consultation, which is not listed on my site to book themselves. I have to book that. So see, bookable by customers online. If I wanted them to be able to book that themselves, I would just switch this toggle over. Hold on. What's happening? Oh, okay. Hold on. My son is coming to say goodnight. My boy. Good night.
We walked all the way back to the park by ourselves.
You big boy. Good job. Good night, my daddo. I love you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh. Okay. Alright, so you can change that toggle there these are modifiers. Once again, I don't do any of that for these things. So you can just come in here and create your service, you know, order pickup. I don't do I don't do any of this stuff because, like I said, I'm pretty much only in this appointments thing for the reminder capabilities. So look, add processing time. Once again, think of, you know, salon. Come in here and you say, you know, if you want somebody to come in, do pickups every 15 minutes only, which is how I have it set. Do that. Actually, excuse me, duration. So how I have it set is they can only come every 15 minutes, but their pickup window is 10 minutes. So I say here, okay, duration, 10 minutes. That's their pickup window. And then I come down here and block extra time, 5 minutes. That way they have a 10-minute pickup window, and I'm not having cakes, you know, sit on my counter forever. They have a 10-minute pickup window, and then I have this 5 minutes of lag time. As I said before, I don't like my clients to overlap, so I kind of like that. Bookable by customers online, resource required, none of that. Okay. And then you would just hit save. So I've already done all of that. I have my stuff set up here. Okay, any questions about that? Let me know and I will see it in a minute. Okay, let's see. Setting up appointments. Okay, let's talk about the. Gotta go back to the appointments. Okay, settings. Payments and cancellations. If somebody cancels on you, you can set it up so that it charges them. I don't do that. Yeah, so booking with no-show protection. You can set it up so that it has, you know, a fee, if they cancel on you. I don't do that. I don't see the need for it. Okay, and you've got communications. So this is my favorite part about this. This is not very user-friendly looking. But basically, I want to send my customers a confirmation request. It'll send them an email and text message 2 days before their appointment, and it means 2 days, exactly. So if the appointment's at 5:45 on a Saturday, they're going to get a confirmation 5:45 on a Thursday. So it will send them that, and it will ask them to confirm on there. And then pull that back up. When they confirm, it gives them a little check mark by their name. So, you know, when Thursday rolls around, I tend to look at my weekends pickups and see, you know, make sure everybody confirmed. If they didn't confirm, that's when I'll reach out, you know, however we communicated in the past, email, DM, whatever. Then I have it set so that an hour before the appointment, it will send them a text message and remind them. And I have it set so that in the text message it gives them my address once again, and it'll say, like, if you prefer contactless, let me know, and I'll just do like porch pickup type deal. Yeah. It'll also give them an email reminder. Why is my thing going off? Sorry, guys. Okay. All right. Square Assistant. This is basically just that if they get a text confirmation for their appointment or text reminder or whatever, they can just text back to Square, and the Square Assistant will help them reschedule without them having to contact you. Once again, you can do digital contracts here, which is kind of, you know, if you're doing cookie contracts, this might be another good way to incorporate that instead of doing it with the invoices, depending on your preference. Down here, and this gets confusing because I struggle with this all the time. Oh, this is probably loaded now, so let me show you what it looks like when they get their little check mark. So they get their little check mark here. I don't bother with these afterwards, but you can actually come in here and do mark it as no show or cancel the appointment. If you're the type of person that wants to like get rid of the little thing and say like, okay, this pickup is done, you can do take payment, and you can do it on your phone so that it doesn't send them the like text message quote unquote receipt. But I used to do that, but I stopped bothering with it. I found that it didn't hurt to not do anything about it. Okay, here you can come in and customize the messages. Oh, look at my address. Um, you can come in here and customize the message. So when I accept their appointment, they get a certain message um, and it tells them my address. And then there's different ones. Business client appointment. Um, Here are the automatic notifications. Reminder with confirmation. So that's the email that goes 2 days before. So here I have, hello, and you have your little things down here that you get to copy and paste. So, hello, client first name. Please click confirm below to ensure your appointment time is held. Your pickup or delivery window is reservation date start to reservation or at time start to time end, and it tells them the whole window. I also have down here, I'm not going to scroll down because I'm pretty sure my address is there, things. So with COVID, like I've made it, I was fully contactless for the longest time, and then I changed it to, okay, if you're fully vaccinated, don't worry about masks, whatever. Now we're going back to, everybody's just going to wear masks because it's just safer to protect our kids. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that today. But you can put whatever you want to down there. And then down further, I have my address as a reminder so that they have it again. And I have my phone number, my Google phone number, so that they can text me if they want to. Oh, and this area here is also where I put, excuse me, oh my gosh. Oh, I say if they prefer contactless pickup to text me and just say, hey, I would prefer contactless pickup. Okay. Again, you've got your reminder and your confirmation request, what have you. And you can go through all these. I haven't really messed with any of them except for the appointment reminders and things like that because, like I said, that's pretty much all I am into the appointments game for. But this is nice, especially if you're really busy and you're doing a lot of the like listing things, like I said when I was doing hot cocoa bombs and things like that. It was really nice because people could schedule their own things. And I had a nice, app on my phone that told me, and it integrates with your Google Calendar too. I almost forgot to mention that. Let's see. Calendar and booking. Discard changes. I don't know what I changed. I wonder how. Oh, yeah. Right here you can link your Google Calendar, which is super convenient. Yeah. So I have a nice app on my phone that I can pull up to see what pickups I have today, when they're going to be here, stuff like that. And then it goes on my Google Calendar too, so you can even just have it there. Okay? Is there any questions about that? I hope that made sense. I feel like I was a little bit all over the place. If you have more than one person working with you, which I'm considering, look, this is just me. I'm considering adding my husband on here and making him my delivery guy. So you could always do that, but I'm not really sure how that works with Square payroll and like if they're going to make him clock in and like do stuff like that. So I haven't really messed with it that much. I just tell my husband to go do stuff. He's a good sport. Okay, so that's appointments. Now we're going to get into, and this is long awaited. We've been here for over an hour. Oh, wait. Yeah, we have been here for over an hour. Okay. We're going to get into the online side of things. So you can see you have all of these features over here with just Square. You have your team, you can clock in, you can do all those sorts of things. You can do, like I said, I do gift cards. You can do a loyalty card. You do have to pay for that. By the way, everything I'm showing you on here is free except for the processing fees. You're not going to get away from that. But everything on here is free because I don't want to pay for the paid version. Okay, so the loyalty stuff, you can use that, but like I said, you have to pay for it. Marketing, you can do your email marketing through Square, which is kind of convenient. I did it once when they were doing a promo, but I haven't messed with it since because there's so many free options out there. I just wouldn't even mess with it. And what you can actually do is just go to this customers tab and download your entire customer list and just upload it to another platform for email marketing. That's personally what I recommend. I don't see any real benefit to using Square emails. I don't know. I'm not Square expert, but I don't see the benefit of it. If you've got your husband working for you or, your friend or whatever, you can do time cards and you can pay them through here. Haven't messed with that a whole lot. I've kind of looked at it and I was a little intimidated by it, so we didn't mess with that. Okay, so we are going to get onto the frequently asked questions part of it, which is essentially just Square Online, because Square Online is a whole other beast. Real quick while this is loading, because we know it's going to take a minute, we can also talk about here your virtual terminal. You can basically pull this up and take payments from your computer. You can also get a Square card reader that attaches to your phone. When I signed up, they were actually giving the ones that plug into your earphone jack. They were giving those away for free, and now I know it's because no phones have earphone jacks anymore, so thanks. That's just going to sit in my drawer. Anyway, so you can take payments from your computer and stuff like that. There are different fees so if you were to manually type it in here, this is what you would be paying. So depending on the transaction, it might be cheaper. It looks like it's probably just going to be more expensive though. I think the cheapest way to take payments on Square is through their readers. And maybe don't quote me on that, but anyway. So that's what Square started as, was the payment terminals and things like that. You can also run reports on here, to see, just how your business is doing and things like that. I don't do a whole lot of that. I don't do the risk manager loans or any of that. You can click your orders and you can find your orders here. But like I said, this is the issue that most of us run into with Square, is the fact that it's just not very cohesive between the Square Up here, you see Square Up, the Square Up side and the Square Online side, okay? So I'm going to try and do what I can to help you guys on here. Like I said, I originally wasn't planning to talk about this stuff at all, but every single question I got from you guys was about Square Online. So I will try my best. Again, I'm no expert, but I will do what I can. Okay, so here's what my dashboard looks like for my website. And you can go in here, and basically what I did, I just went in here and it gave me all the prompts for creating the website that I have. Am I in love with it? It's okay. I don't hate it. But here, I've got, you kind of have to figure out what's going to work for you. So this is just what works for me. Here I have my main banner. I usually have whatever special I have going on here. Right now it's the back to school cookies, so people can click here and go order those. You have your image, you just click on here and replace / upload your image. And then it gives you prompts to like, do you want to make it darker? So here I made it darker so that you could read this stuff better. You can put a label. Most of the time I leave this off because I just don't like it, but for some reason I was feeling it this time. But you can take this off and edit that. You can edit your colors, your font, all that stuff. If you're in the paid version, I believe you get more fonts than this. But you kind of are limited with the free version, but it works for me for now. Okay, so then this is your headline. You type that in, and yeah. So I will go in and change all this stuff, and you can just edit, link to. There's all these different things. Basically, the ones you have to keep in mind are standard page versus item page. For me, I just took it directly to my item page. Okay? Is a website worth making for someone just starting out that is doing pretty much customs only? I plan on doing Halloween pre-sales and thinking that I would make a Square site for pre-sales only. I think having a website makes you look like a real business. That's just my opinion. Because when I see someone's Instagram, I will go to their page and I will look to see if they have a website. If they don't have a website, I'm kind of like, oh, they're just starting out. So like you said, you're just starting out, which is fantastic. But it's just one of those things that takes you, I feel, to the next level. So, I went over this before too, is that you can create forms in here. So let's just come down here. I got my little things in here. Add section. For customs, a lot of people like using forms. And I like the idea of forms because it prevents all the back and forth. You know, there's the standard questions we ask for everybody. What flavor do you want? How many do you need? What date do you need it by? What's your theme? You know, colors, all that stuff. So you can create a form to ask those questions for you. Okay, so here we go. We're going down forms. So you can create your own. Look, it even gives like templates. So this custom quote is one that I made for myself. So I can add my custom quote. So I guess to answer your question, Rachel, if you want to spend the time to do it, I mean, now would be the time before you get too busy with, the holidays and things like that. So if you were to make a website, you could literally just come on here, make a landing page here with, maybe you want to do a special and pre-sales, you can use that right here. You link your Instagram and it will, look at that, oh my gosh, I have the same like 4 photos. Thanks, Meet Edgar. Anyway, so you can attach your Instagram and it'll automatically upload your Instagram. You don't have to update that. Maybe put a review here. That's what I did. You know, these are just featured items that I try to kind of push because I enjoy making those ones. Yeah. So you could just skip that and then come down here and put your form. So actually, this isn't even my form. What the heck? Whatever. But you can make your form on this landing page. So you've got, yeah, any specials, your Instagram, you know, and then you can put your form here and then the rest of this junk at the bottom. And if you have a 1-page website, that's fine. That's totally fine. You come in here for your order form and you can ask all the questions you need to ask on here. People can submit that. It sends you an email and then you can get the ball rolling. You can use, you know, Square Invoices or what have you. So Rachel, TLDR, just go ahead and do it. Even if it's a 1-page website, even if it's not on Square, you don't have to use Square. Whatever. It's just nice to have. And in my opinion, I feel like it makes you look more professional. Okay? Alright. I have to figure out how to delete this now. Delete section. Yes. Even thank you. Okay. So, I started out with pretty simple thing. I don't even remember how I started this off, to be honest, but it's kind of just morphed into what it is. So now I have my navigation bar where I have cakes and cupcakes. I would definitely do. I think if you use the form, it would be good. A lot of people use Google Forms, which is nice, but it just takes you up a notch to have it directly on your website. And the Square forms, I can't speak for other platforms because I haven't tried it, but the Square one works pretty much like Google Forms does and just sends you an email. And this is powered through Weebly. So, are there drop-down list options on the forms? Yes. So we're gonna go back. We'll just create a whole form here. Hold on. You know what? We're gonna go to. See, I told you I'm not an expert on here. I just mess around with stuff until I get it figured out. So I figured maybe if I could save you guys some time. Where is this? Home, gift cards, offering, view more. I have so many pages. I need to organize this. So don't take my. So I have cake menu. It started off as just cake menu, and now it is my quote form and stuff. So I've got all my flavors, whatever. Let's see what we've got here. So, what flavors are you interested in? Why is this? Add a question. We'll just add a question. So here are your options when you add a question. You got multiple choice, short answer, long answer, drop down, all that. So you wanted to create a drop down, and your question here can be, what's your favorite color? And then you add your choices. Get rid of these two, add your choices, pink, purple. You can mark it as required or not. Yeah, so when they come, and I will show you what this looks like on the other side, the client side. Sorry guys, my internet's being really slow. Okay. Oh, I have to publish it. We'll just preview, see if that works. What's your favorite color? Here's your drop down menu. Okay. I guess that would have been the easier way to do it. Then they can even opt in to receive marketing and promotional materials, which hopefully they do. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of my favorite color. Delete. Or else I'll be knowing everybody's favorite color. Good Lord, please go away. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So I think, especially for people who are already using forms, if you just set it up on here one time, that'll be nice. A lot of, well, you might have noticed that I can type in wolftreatscincy.com and it will take me to my Square site. If you pay on Square, you can attach it. But, like I said, I don't pay for Square. So what I did was I went to and I bet you Heather and Corey probably know all about this because I'm not tech savvy, but I knew that I could go into my domain, so I bought my domain through Google. So I went through Google Domains and I was able to redirect my site. So, so I can type in wolftreatscincy.com and it redirects to this site. Now it's not like the nice thing where it still says wolftreatscincy.com up here, but I'm okay with that. I have my domain reserved and maybe one day I will pay for it to be officially connected, but I like a good workaround if I can get one. Okay? Alright, let me see here. Alright. I'm going to go in here and show you guys what my let's see, we'll do sugar cookies. So I am kind of slowly getting away from custom sugar cookies. Like I said, before, I'm not. Oh, holy crap! It's going so long. Hold on, give me 1 second, you guys. I am very sorry. I have my phone set up for the question for any like comments or questions or anything, and now it's saying that my time is going to run out on Facebook because I have digital well-being set up, so I have to go and delete that. Give me a second. Very sorry. Timer. Where? Sorry, guys. I don't know why I even have one on Facebook. Alright, guys. I don't know how to even delete this, so I guess I'm just going to have to go back and forth with delete all timers. Done. Okay, I'm coming back. Alright, sorry about that. I'm getting away from custom sugar cookies because they're just not my bag. Custom cakes are really my deal, but I do enjoy doing the occasional sugar cookies, especially if they are airbrushed. I enjoy that, clearly. Anyway, so I have my listings set on here, and obviously I'm using anchor pricing because I listen to the podcast, and I took all the anchor pricing off for everything except for what I'm trying to push right now. And then these are a new ad, so my photography is not like up there yet, so don't judge me on that. So to add these to the page, you have your featured items put on there. Let's see. Yeah, so featured items, it gives you the option to do like most popular, recently viewed, recently ordered. I do a custom selection just because I want all of my sugar cookies to be on there, so then I just do that and I add them individually. Okay, so that is how the website is set up. So if you were just starting on creating, your website and you wanted to use Square, I would start with, like I said, the landing page. If you do customs, if that's where you make your money, create a form on your landing page. If you want to put featured items on there, make a couple pages or whatever. You can have your about page. Let me show you how this is set up here. It gives you your navigation, the button. If you don't want to do the schedule pickup, you can change that. Oh gosh, what am I doing here? You can change this to anything. Gift cards, you got it. Your Instagram, done. You can change it to that, or you can just get rid of it altogether. You don't have to do what I did. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change it. I'm going to be on my Instagram now. Sorry, guys. It's like live time. Instagram. Okay. Anyway. So, so if you're just starting, do your landing page. You can put a tab up here for your featured items, maybe your favorite cookie sets to make. For me, I love doing airbrush, so that's pretty much all mine are up there. And that's where I would start, and then play with it. And yeah. Well, I'm going to go back here and show you guys how to create an item to put on there. So, please hold. Okay, items, site items. Thanks for your patience. Okay, create a new item. Put all your beautiful photography here. On here you have the different types of items. I saw somebody asking before, saying, can they, do certain pickup times? I will show you how to do that. I usually do physical or prepared food and beverage. Those are usually my go-to. What your item's called. Here's your price and your sale price. Utilize that price anchoring, especially if you plan on upping your prices at some point. So say you charge $36 a dozen and you want to jump up to 40. Go in there right now and change your sale price to 36 and your regular price to 40. And that will get people prepared to start paying more because they're like, oh my gosh, the sale price is $36 now. Anyway, so you have your description, all that, visible, hidden, unavailable. Let's see, visible, obviously, just completely visible. Hidden means that they can only see it if they have the link. Your fulfillment options, I only do pickup, and it'll give you, your location or your prep time. So for me, usually my prep time is like a week. I pretty much put everything at a week. If you want to do shipping, you can have that set up on here. I've never done shipping on here. Every time I do shipping, I just send an invoice, but I can only ship within my state anyway. You can set up delivery if you want, but it charges you a fee for it. So I'm not down for that. I try to do as much as I can for free. Self-serve ordering might be nice for pop-ups. So I've not utilized this yet. I've never had a pop-up. But in the future, if I wanted to add something to the self-serve ordering, what I can do is put up a sign with a QR code, and people can actually scan the QR code and order as if it were like a restaurant. So they could essentially do like a self-checkout at your pop-up. Yeah, so I think that's a really cool option too. It's kind of like when you go to like, I don't know, a brewery nowadays. You can just order on your phone and then it'll text you and it's ready to pick up. So that's kind of cool. The thing that people have issues with the most is stock. I have issues with this too. Recently I have found that if I just don't even touch this from the get-go, it won't make me mess with it, especially if you're doing prepared food and beverage, because it's not going to make you keep a stock on that. But you can go in here, update, save it. So finicky. Something went wrong. Sorry. Okay, whatever. You can add stock in there. You can just update it, add stock. I do that with you can do that with pre-orders. That's a good option for pre-orders. So say you're only going to do a certain amount of the pre-order, you can just set that there, and once you're sold out, you're sold out. And then you don't even have to manage it. It's nice. I don't utilize this so much as I utilize modifiers. I used to, but when you do this, so I have buttercream flavor. This flavor was for the hot cocoa bombs, set size, cake size, all that stuff. When you put it in there and it makes you track the stock, you're going to have to update the stock for every single combination. So if you have a flavor and a buttercream, it's gonna make every single combination, and you have to keep stock for every single combination. So I've stopped messing with that one. I said bye. I'm not dealing with all of that. I don't have time. What I like to do is modifiers. So as you can see, I have a ton of different kinds of modifiers here. I can add so for this item in particular, I can add personalization. You can have it set here. We'll just create a whole new one. You can make it so that they can type in something. So I use that for my personalization. I have the airbrush like cookies or whatever that you might have seen before. They can type in up to 4 phrases that they want on the cookie, and I'll do that. Here, this is good for flavors or different styles. So I do a housewarming cookie set, which I have a lot of realtors in the area that enjoy using that or enjoy doing that for like closing gifts. So they can just go on there and order. And I have a list of 5 different styles of cookies, and they can choose up to 3 of those styles. Okay? So let me go in here and I will show you. So personalization up to 4 phrases. That's for that, literally just that one. Heat seal packaging. The nice thing about this too is you can come in here and add. So if they select this, since it's not a required field, so they don't have to select it. But if they select this, it'll add $4 to their total. I have pretty much moved more towards just going ahead and heat sealing all the cookies now, and then I just upped the price because I had people ordering those closing gift cookies that weren't heat sealed, and then they were like, "Oh, my closing got pushed back, but I'm still gonna pick up the cookies." I said, "Nope, you're not gonna get these cookies and keep them for a week." Okay, or at least without heat sealing. Here's my thing with the realtor cookies, flavor option, stuff like that. So let's just do color and cookie icing flavor. Done. So the nice thing in here is I can come in and say, okay, minimum required. So for example, those airbrushed cookies, I want them to pick at least 1 color, but no more than 3 colors. I'm not doing more than 3 colors. I have all of my colors listed in here, and I even have gold as an extra cost because then I have to clean out my airbrush more. I can't figure that out. Okay, so we've got the min and max. And here, this one is minimum, minimum of 1, maximum of 1. You're not going to get more than 1 flavor in a dozen. Yeah, so also here, if you want to do I prefer almond, so I will go ahead and make that default. That way, when they pull it up, they're not saying, oh, almond or lemon. They're saying, okay, the default is almond, but I can choose lemon if I want. Let me go and show you what that looks like on this end. Okay, so we have these color splash cookies. So here it says, okay, do I want these heat sealed? Yeah, and it's going to add $4. The cookie icing flavor, like I said, it's like, okay, the default is almond, but I'm allergic to almond extract, so I want lemon. Okay, that's fine. I literally only have lemon because of people who are allergic to almond. Select between 1 and 3. They can select their whatever, but they can't select more than those. Okay? They can't move on until they do that. And then I have the personalization on here. They can, up to 4 phrases. I made these for my sister-in-law, so those are that. Okay, does that make sense? I know this is going really long. Okay. So that would be that. So you would save this, you would go back to the website and add it. Okay. I am not going to go much farther into this. I am going to look at the questions that I wrote down and see if I missed anything. Okay, so I talked about form versus listing. That was a question of, can I set up a form for customs? Yes. If you have featured items or pre-sales, you can do it as a listing. I like to do that. Let's see. Okay, I have on here somebody had said, I searched in the group earlier today looking for questions about Square, and there was someone asking, good golly gracious, let's go back to here, Square. someone was asking, why is Square forcing a tip on my customers' orders? This was, I don't even remember when it was or who it was, but I'm just going to go ahead and go over that because you can add tipping onto ordering online. So we showed you with the invoices. Now I'm going to show you how to do it online, if we can ever get there. I probably should have separated all of this information into separate lives because obviously Square has so many features and it can be confusing. Okay, so checkout. Going to checkout. Eventually we'll get there. Okay. So, oh, before I forget too, a lot of people say, sometimes I find that my Square site isn't accepting orders. I used to have that issue a lot in the very beginning, and I would come in here and this was toggled off for some reason. I had toggled it on before, it toggled off. Also, like I said before, I have my street on listed as my address on here and not my full address, so I will get an error every once in a while that says, hey, we can't verify your address, and I'll just have to go in and click, hey, just use this. I know it's wrong, but you can use that. Because it has to have your address listed on there somewhere. And I think, yeah, if you want to enable pickup orders, you have to have an address on there. Okay? Alright, accept online orders, yada yada yada. Where am I going here? Okay, here we go. Checkout experience. Edit customer inputs. Enable order tipping at checkout. If you do not have this enabled, just do it. Putting it on there is not going to make. I do not get tips for most of my orders, but I do sometimes. So go enable it. They don't have to leave a tip. I've never had anybody think that I was rude for having this option on here. Here's where the issue is with the default tip amount. So you can just select do not add default tip amount. Now if you want to add a default, you can just put, you say I want the default as 15%. That way people go and they say like, oh yeah, maybe I can just leave a tip, and it's already added. They don't have to worry about it. It's super convenient. But they can also delete it. It's not a big deal. So if you don't have this enabled, go enable it. If it makes you uncomfortable, just do the do not add default tip. That's how I leave it because I don't want people to feel like they have to leave a tip. But if they want to, I want them to be able to. So some of this stuff is new. Allow customer leave note to seller, opt in. Okay, yeah, so that's all new, but I just wanted to show you the tipping thing. Okay. You can add your policies on here if you do shipping or talking about returns. I don't have it on there, but I also have a policies page that lists that out for me. Okay, so done, check. Setting up specific pickup days. Okay, so how I have mine set up, you go into general, and in your store information here, whenever it loads, it's going to show, maybe not. Oh, here we go, edit. No? Cool, we're just making it up now, aren't we, Square? You guys are seeing live me deal with this. Oh, you know what? I bet you it's in here. Account settings. Golly. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to switch back to the other side of Square because, as you've seen, it's a process. You can, in the main part of Square, there's, down here will be like settings, and you will just go in and set up your quote-unquote location settings. And, gosh, I guess I'm just going to go do it. Oops. Maybe not. Sorry, guys. I'm a very visual person, so I can't just describe it. But you'll go into your location and set your business hours for pickup. Okay, where are you? Settings, account and settings. business, locations. I have mine set up as a mobile location. Where are my hours? See, here we go. Okay, down here is where I have my hours. So again, it's confusing. I get why everybody is so frustrated with it and why it has taken me 10 months to kind of figure this stuff out. So you come in here and you can set your pickup times and hours. What I recommend for pre-sales, so say you have all your stuff available to order online and you have a week turnaround time for those things. People can order, on Wednesday for the following Wednesday. Cool. What if you're doing pre-orders 3 weeks in advance? What I recommend you do is you go back into your item settings and you can change the visible. Okay, or not, whatever. Good golly gracious. Okay. You can change this to 3 weeks. And then when they go to order this, it will show. So let's say, yeah, so 3 weeks from today would be the 29th. If you wanted to do your pickups for the 29th and 30th, you would select the 3 weeks and it would show those dates. And it's still gonna show the dates past the 29th and 30th, but what I do is I just tell people, hey, these are the dates, and if they try to do something past that, I will reschedule it automatically. And if they're like, oh, I don't want it, I'd be like, that's fine, I'll cancel it. The way I do this, and I don't know if it's the most convenient or the most efficient, but the way I do it is I will go ahead and do that 3 weeks, and then when it hits, then like tomorrow, so once I'm within that 3 weeks, I'll go back and I'll change it to 2 weeks. And it'll pull that date back to like the 29th, if that makes sense. So for me, I would do all 4 of my days. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. And then on Saturday, I would pull the date back on here in the item settings. So it's a little annoying, but it's okay. I've seen people also do set it up as shipping, and they'll do a modifier to say, okay, do you want to pick it up on the 29th or the 30th? And people can select that. Yeah, it's going to make them enter their address and stuff, and it's going to say it's shipping, but there's really not a super great way to do it. I've also seen people do it as appointments. That seems to work really well for people. So try that out. I've never messed with that. I've just been doing this annoying, tedious, just pulling the date back sort of thing. Okay? I hope that made sense. If it didn't, let me know. Okay. You can also, this is a lot, you can make categories. So I have featured cakes, featured cookies. If I wanted to, I could go into, oh my goodness, I'm fancy. I didn't even know I did this. I can go in here and make it so I can say I only want people to pick up cakes on Fridays. So I can go in here, only certain days and times. They say, okay, only on Friday can you pick up cakes. So you can have it set up that way too. I just really recommend, figuring out what days you want to do stuff. There's no shame and really no harm in limiting your pickup hours on Square. You can always go into Google My Business and things like that and put your hours as more open, as more like office hours. So there's no shame in doing that. Like I said, I used to do, hey, you can pick up whenever you want as long as it's not Sunday. Because I'm like, okay, Sunday's family day. So I used to say whenever you want, but then I had people picking up, a random set of cookies on Monday and a random cake on, Tuesday, and I didn't really like that. It didn't really work with my workflow for the week. if somebody does really want a cake on Monday, I will make it happen. If somebody wants a cake on Sunday, I'll make it happen. But in general, I try to make it seem like, hey, I'm limited to these times. Okay. I talked about modifiers for flavors. If you want to, let me add here, to get to your orders, you can do it through the regular Square side. You just click orders right here, and that'll be all your online orders, not your invoices. That'll just be your online orders. One day Square will be integrated. Maybe they need to hire me so that I can just boss them around. I don't know how to fix any of the problems. I just know what the problems are. You have options to add coupons here. There's customer reviews, but I've never been able to figure that out, so sorry. What was I talking about? Blackout dates, sorry. Settings. General, maybe it's in here. Checkout, maybe it's in here. I don't know. Huh. I think they might have moved it. Oh, that's maybe I'll have to make a follow-up video and just post that in the comments of this live or something, of how to get to, like, blacking out dates. For example, like, if Christmas falls on a Friday, I don't want people to schedule pickups on Christmas. I'm not doing it. Okay. Yeah, I think I've covered everything that I have written down that I saw in, like, common questions. This was a lot, and if you are still here, I'm very proud of you, and I hope that this was informative. Let's see. Okay, I'm coming back. Yeah, so I hope that this was informative. I hope that this helped. If you have questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll try to pay attention to this, the comments of this live and stuff in the future. If you guys have requests of, like, other stuff you want to learn about, maybe with Square or organizing orders and things like that, I know the description of this said that I was going to talk about workflow, Square workflow, but I've never been able to figure that out. And when I said that I would talk about workflow, I was talking more about, like, paper planner and, like, using Asana and stuff like that. But like I said, that the majority of questions that I had from people were all about Square Online. So I wasn't intending really to talk about that a whole lot when I first offered to do the live, but I hope that I helped. And yeah, so maybe another day we'll talk about Square contracts and things. If you get in there and you play around with it, I'm not the most tech savvy person, but I am the person who's willing to sit down and mess with it until I figure it out. So, alright, well, if nobody has any questions, I'm going to hop off here and go drink some water because I've been talking for 2 hours straight and I don't talk that much. Okay, thank you guys so much. Yeah, have a good night. Bye.